Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the Breakdown Extra, a little live Monday show. Why not? A little bit of a bonus. I'm away later in the week for a few days doing some bits and pieces. So I thought I'd, give you a bit of live content to start the week. That camera seems like really close. Well, there we go. Here's what it is, I suppose, isn't it? But so we'll talk about some stuff. We're going to focus mainly on transfers, I think, today. Couple gone out on loan and stuff like that. We're going to obviously discuss that. We'll discuss maybe some of the people who might go out and the like, really. Answer some questions. We'll talk about I did a video earlier on Ryan Wintle, which has had a few interesting comments, which you can delve into. Can we move this off the screen? There we go. That's better. A bit fussy like that, and but yeah, so that was interesting. I thought that was quite an interesting conversation starter because even me for one, like I really thought he was done with Cardiff, and I was speaking to some people who followed his career before Cardiff quite closely. Speak to some people at the club and that who said he's come back really motivated and done a really good job with regards to like his attitude. He's in really good shape and stuff like that. So he's come back quite motivated. So like that's interesting because he is one of the more experienced players in what is a pretty young side. We have said about the need for young new voices, and I mean he wasn't there all most of last season. Does he count as a new voice? I'm not sure. There's that famous saying, like, everyone deserves a second chance, but there's also a famous saying of a leopard doesn't change his spots. So if he was a problem in the dressing room, which has been alleged, will he revert back to that if things get a bit tight or if he's not being selected or whatever it may be? I do think it's interesting because from a purely football point of view, I think he's got something to offer. I think we need his skill set. I think, well, certainly he's got a skill set that we lack in the squad as it stands. And if he's got the right motivation and the right attitude, etc., then he can obviously add something. But equally, like I said, if things go wrong or he's not playing, is he going to be a bit of a problem? And then with a young squad, that's the last thing you know. God, I got a shiny head. It's so hot. Like obviously his Millwall loan didn't go particularly well. He was iced a little bit in the second part of the season with that. So it's like, as he maybe realised that this is a big, big opportunity for him, like if he gets back in favour at Cardiff and he gets playing well, his career's back on track. If he gets ostracised or he gets moved out, then of course it is more of an issue for him from a career point of view. Cardiff, whatever people want to tell you outside of the football club, it's a big club. It's a capital city. It's got a lot going for it, but it is a high pressure environment. And ultimately, that means that you need players with a bit of experience and you need players who can help the younger group, can really help you in tough times when things get really problematic or things go against you, bad refereeing decisions, whatever it may be. I think it is a big skill. It's a skill set you need at least, isn't it? So I'm going to put a little poll up. We haven't done a poll for ages. So the first question is, would you keep Ryan Wintle in the squad this season? And we'll see what the people in the chat are saying when they vote. So yeah, please do vote for that. Just a simple yes or no. Because I think ultimately, like, I do think he's got something to offer. And I definitely think I've been, what's the word? Not influenced. I think that's the wrong terminology. But like, there's definitely something to it where I was speaking to some people. I was speaking to Gabe on Monday night. And like he was saying, like he is a pretty good player. Like when he's played at League One before, he's got the skill set, and something that we really lack is an out and out number 6. But you just don't know what's going to happen to you with regards to everything and how it's going to pan out with the ins and outs. Obviously, Michael Reindorf has gone out to Newport. I think that's the right move for him. I think it's a good move for him as well. He's got to go now and kick on. He's got to go and score some goals at Newport. They've got a manager who likes to play football. And I think that helps, because that will mean that if he does come back either mid-season or next season and Barry Murphy's still the manager, which he hopefully is, he's going to have played in a team which likes to get the ball down and play. So he's not going to have gone somewhere where they're just going to lump the ball up to him. So that in itself is interesting. Obviously, Soku went out. Rocco Simic has gone out. Soku for sure. Look, it's not a big loss, is it? He doesn't play, so it's kind of one of them, really. I'm interested. Like I know, the Portsmouth media in particular are really trying to stoke up the Alex Robertson thing. They've kind of taken a couple of old quotes on that. He did really enjoy his time at Portsmouth when he was there before he came to us. But he as much as he enjoyed his time there, he chose to come to Cardiff City, and he had the opportunity. It was between us and Portsmouth last year, and he chose to come to us. So I'm not going to say there's nothing in it. Like, there's a few clubs who are after him. Like for me, Lawler, Fish, Robertson, Colwell, and Salic. They're the ones who I'm avoiding selling at all costs, because that's the spine of your team this year, should be. And they're the ones I would want to build this team around. I understand, though, everyone's got a price. I know people are getting frustrated with, we need to get players in, we need to get players out. I think they're working on it. Well, they are working on it. And I think Barry Murphy as well will want to give some of these players the opportunity to sink or swim. And I don't mean that necessarily with the young players, sink or swim in training and preseason. I think he wants to have a look at some of these senior players, see what their motivation is like, see what their attitude is like in this preseason when they're doing fitness, and see what their mentality is like. Because to me, that's always a good indicator from my experience, just even amateur level. The ones who are moaning and don't want to do the extra work in preseason to get ready for the season are usually the ones that when the season comes by are not fit enough, haven't got the right attitude, are not the ones who are going to dig in for you when times are hard. So it's an interesting one. So I would imagine he wants to have a good look at them. Let's have a look at who's putting that extra effort in. And by all accounts, I've spoken to a few people within the club now, or within the squad and above that and around that. Ryan Wintle is proper motivated. He's in really good shape. He's got his head down. He's got his, I was told he's got his nut down, and he's just doing his work, and he's doing it well. And someone did say to me, I didn't realize that he was such a good passer. So one of my worries with him, I was talking about this in the summer, earlier in the summer, was that even if EK came back and he was back in the squad, I didn't think he was good enough. Like, I didn't think he had the progressive passing or the ball carrying skills to really play the way that Barry Murphy's got to want his 6 to play. But having spoke to a few other people, and Gabe again on Monday was talking about how good his progressive passing was in League One last time. And I think it was CCFC Insider pointed out that his progressive passing stats are very, very good. That coupled with his the attitude that he's come in with, and then this comment that I had from someone at the club saying, I didn't realize what a good passer he is. That's really encouraging. But for me personally, in my like day-to-day life, loyalty, trust, honesty and togetherness, work rate, all these things. I live my life by that. I have a real small circle of people who I trust implicitly. And if you break that trust or you get removed from the group or the kind of that circle or whatever you want to call it, like, I'm not really interested after that, like, to a certain degree. It's very difficult to get back into, but that's just, I can only talk about me. Whereas, obviously, it's a professional football club. They have to, they're paying his wages, so he's going to come to work unless he's been removed from the squad for a disciplinary reason, like Jamal Collins was, for instance, last year. He's going to be around the group. He's going to be training. So the best advice I always would give a footballer is just get your head down and make yourself undeniable. So good for him if that's what he's doing. Honestly, like, really good for him. If it works out that he ends up as our number 6, then okay. If it doesn't and he still moves on, or he's a squad player, then okay. But at least he's doing the right thing to start with a new manager. And I hope that the likes of Perry and G, Callum Robinson, the rest of them are all doing the same thing. Because 1, they should all want to impress the new manager. 2, if they want to stay at the football club, they should all be wanting to show that they can play the way the new manager wants to play football. And 3, just have some professional pride. And whilst you're at the football club, do your business as you should. So, yeah, encouraging. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Evening, Mark, Paul, Matthew, JT. Jonathan says maybe the break at Millwall helped him realise the grass isn't always greener. Yeah, probably an element of that. I don't think he enjoyed his loan at Millwall, mate. I've got to be honest. JT says, I fear we won't sign anyone by the Peterborough game, and then we'll panic to sign a few in August. No, mate, there's loads of time. There really is genuinely a lot of time before the start of the season. Like, I think people are getting a bit... I understand it as well. Like, I understand. New manager comes in, you want to get like that statement signing, that marquee signing to build the excitement. And I do think they've missed the boat a little bit on that, because there was a lot of positivity and a lot of excitement from the manager. I think they missed the boat on some of the stuff they could have done with him and social media and some other things. But I also think that getting his first signing in is important as well. But I understand people's apprehension with it all as well. Jonathan also said, under Steve Morrison was probably one of our better players playing as a 6. Yeah, I mean, for some unknown reason, we switched him to playing as a more progressive, like 8. I don't think that's his game. I genuinely think that Ryan Wintel's best position is just being a 6. But I don't think he's necessarily like... I don't think he's a destroyer as such. I think he's quite a, lack of a better term, like a progressive 6. Sorry, I just had to have a drink because I felt like I was boiling up. Yeah, so I think like he reads the game pretty well. He can pass it, and he can carry it. He's not particularly quick. Jeff says he can put a decent corner and free kick in. Well, we definitely need that, mate, because it's been, Jesus Christ, our set pieces have been painful. Like last season, amateur level set pieces all through the season, no matter who took them. Paul says make or break for Ryan Wintel. Jamie says 6 or 7 players out, potentially including a few bids for Salic, could be troublesome for BBM. I do think Salic is the most difficult to replace if you sell him. Now, what I want to see is I want to see the club stick to their guns. They're saying they don't have to sell anyone. So put your money where your mouth is, for lack of a better term. So if Salic goes, don't be selling him for 3 million, 8 or more. Alex Robertson, 5 or more. Like whoever, Ruben Colwell, 7 or more. Not because maybe, like, regardless of anything else, it's got to be, we don't want to sell these players. So if you want them, you've got to pay. We don't have to sell them. We don't need to sell them. So you've got to pay. Now, of course, it's naive to think that that'll work for every player. There'll be some players who well, there is some players who've already asked for bids to be considered. But if I'm Brian Barry Murphy and the board and that, I got a list of that first team squad, and I've got the minimum price that I'm accepting from. I mean, let's fly through that very quickly, right? If we assume and we take them at their word, what price, like what we don't have to sell anyone. Okay, so let's go through it very, very quickly. I don't want to spend ages on it, but you've got Howworth, right? I'd sell Ethan Howworth. I'm selling, probably take 500 grand for him with some add-ons, maybe. Alnwick signed a new contract, so a bit more, 750, maybe even $1 million with some add-ons. NG, how much would you take? Like, what would your price be for Perry NG if you don't need to sell? And you depends if you want him out, I guess, isn't it? I would say if you don't want to sell him and you prefer to keep him, like if the manager wants to keep him, then I think it's got to be 1.5, 2 million. If you kind of looking to move him on, then maybe more like an 800 to $1 million kind of fee. Like it all depends, doesn't it? Like what you'd want to do. So Pacquiao, he's one I'm not looking to sell in under any circumstances. Not massively experienced, so I'm probably sticking a nice 3 to 5 million on him because I don't want to sell him. Fish, same thing. Don't want to sell him. Got a contract. You're talking 3 plus. Probably, yeah. Darland. Again, then it comes down to, does the manager want to keep him in the squad? If the manager wants to keep him in the squad, then you stick a 2-3 million on him. If the manager is happy for him to go, then you could probably take one and a bit. Dylan Lawler. Now, this is a tricky one. So Dylan Lawler, if he had a 5-year deal, you'd be sticking a massive price on him to scare off all the suitors. Only got a 1-year contract left and has only played for Cardiff City twice so far in the first team. So my price for him would be like 10, 12 million because I don't want to sell him under any circumstances. However, with 12 months on his contract, what do? Do you accept that clubs are going to come in with like 700, 800 grand for him now? Or do you go, no, I don't care if he's out of contract next year. I'd rather lose him for free. So you either pay whatever or we'll use him this season. It's a very, very difficult one. Wintle, like it literally comes down to, do you want him? Does the manager want him in the team? If he wants him in the team, then you're knocking the price up nice and high. If you want to get him out, then you're taking 500 grand. Like, is what it is, isn't it? We'll come back to that in a minute. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Matthew says, like you, I think he'll do a job for us in League One. Just not sure the fans will be bowled over after his actions before going on loan and then whilst going on loan. Yeah, he's got bridges to build, mate, with the fans. But I also think if he's got this newfound attitude of maturity or whatever you want to call it, if he starts the season and he's starting and he's playing really well and he's like putting 100% in, fans forgive very real quick, like, you know. Jamie says League One, give him a chance. Paul says yes for the experience unless Brian Barry Murphy wants someone else. Yeah, and that's what it also comes down to. If Brian Barry Murphy wants someone specific for that role, then you've got to do it, haven't you? Johnny says Wintle's already in Spain doing passing drills as well. Jeff says he could well have hated Bullet. He upset a lot of players. Bullet did upset a lot of players. However, it wasn't Bullet which sent him out on loan. So there's that as well. John says the main clubs after Alex Robertson, I don't see them being able to put in an acceptable bid, and we won't want to sell him on the cheap. I would hope so, mate, but it is tricky, innit? CCFC Insider, welcome, mate. It says going back to the Steve Morrison summer, so the last time we signed a player in June, I think people need to calm down slightly and show some patience. Yeah, 100%, mate. What's he been in? Like 2 weeks? And remember, it's not just the fact he's been here 2 weeks. He's also gone to the club and said, that he doesn't want them to work off the recruitment list that they had. He's brought in a list. He's got his own ideas that he wants them to do. So, there may be some crossover, but some of the players that they may have been going out after and done analysis and scouting and maybe even some negotiations, some of that might have been binned, or at least put a pin in it for now, because he wants certain players. John says, do you think the midfield would have been dealt a loss with Siopis better if we'd recalled Wintle after selling Seal? I don't think you could have brought him in mid-season, because there was an attitude with the issue. There was an issue with his attitude, whether it was because of Bullet and whether it was he was in the right or wrong is not really the issue. I think it's difficult, especially in a relegation battle, to bring in a player like that in the middle of a season. I don't know what Omar Rhys's feelings and thoughts are on Ryan Wintle, but I'm pretty sure he was the one who sent him on loan, though. Did he go on loan in the January, or did he go on loan at the start of the season? My memory is shocking. Sure, someone will tell me now. Graham says, let go anyone who don't want to be here. We've had enough with the bad attitude last year. I agree with that, mate. If you're not on board and you don't want to be here, get going. CCF Insider says, are Siopis and Wintle similar at all, Jonathan? He says, I think Mansverk is quite far ahead of Wintle. Yeah, 100%. Mansverk, I would love to have him back this year. I thought he was a real player. I would love to have had him back this year, but he was never going to come play League One football. John says, do we have any names of any of the players Paddy the Boys lined up before BBM said he doesn't want them? And I think he's that's an interesting. Sorry, I'll come back to that now, mate. Matt saying Mansverk's looking for a new club after being released by Ajax. I've seen if he's been released by Ajax, Cardiff should absolutely be getting in touch with his agent, because he loved it in Cardiff as a city, and just try and convince him, like, come play in League One for a year and we'll be back in the Championship next year. Because him as an out-and-out 6 or even an 8 in a BBM system will be real nice. Good ball carrier, good passer, works hard, and he wears black boots. What's not to love? I would love him back. Be very happy with that. I could probably find out, mate. I don't know if he said he doesn't want him. I think I should clarify that. I think it was more along the lines of there's certain players that he does want. So can he put a pin in what the club have already kind of put together in terms of their shortlist and then go with that? Jeff says, definitely give him the benefit of the doubt and make him skipper too on Ryan Wintle. Yeah, I'm not sure about the skipper thing. And this comment will kind of go into a bit of why. So Jonathan says, Robinson proved you wrong for a little bit last season. Wintle could do better. So let's talk about that, right? Start of the season, Callum came back, super fit, super sharp, super motivated after he'd had a sit-down with Bullet at the end of the previous season. And he came back and he was really motivated, really like top quality attitude. Started the season well, streaky striker. As the season went on, post-Christmas, did he have the same attitude, mentality, etc., that he had at the start of the season? That's the question. Or did he revert to type? That's the question. I'm not saying whether he did or he didn't. I'm asking you the question. Did he start the season really motivated, and then as things got tougher, he picked up an injury? He was very streaky, as he is. Did he maintain that motivation and that attitude change throughout the whole season, or did he end up reverting back to type? Now, if you make Ryan Wintle captain and he has this super good attitude till Christmas, and then in January we bring in let's say we brought Manswerk back in January and then Manswerk starting ahead of him, will he maintain that same attitude? And that's the question, isn't it? But if Manswerk is available, I would love a bit of him. I feel a recruitment report coming in. But so I've what videos we got coming up this week? Just while I get myself together, I'm a bit hot. We got a recruitment report on Matthew Apter. We've got a recruitment report on Darko Gyabi. We've got a video on Isaac Davis. We've got a video on Kean Ashford. I feel like there's one other video as well. I'll probably do a video on Manswerk if he is free. And then in terms of live shows, I think there's obviously a member show at 9:00 tonight with Matt and Rhys. There's a live, I'll be live tomorrow night when I get back from football training. Wednesday night is Matthew, I think, live. Thursday, Evan's going to be live, I think, with Jamie. Just need to double check that. Friday will be probably a pre-recorded episode. And then Saturday, we'll see the return of the 1927 Club. Sunday will be the breakdown. And there'll be some pre-recorded videos at the lunchtimes and stuff like that. I've also got to find a place for... obviously, what have I got? I got the Joe Ledley live event video, which is so good. Like, if I do say so myself, it's like a proper party atmosphere, that one. As well as the Glenn Lewins events. I'm hoping to get the Joe Ledley one out next week. So I'm hoping to finish the edit this week, upload it to YouTube by sort of Thursday or Wednesday night. And then I might even put it out next Monday, actually. Like, we'll see how it pans out. But got loads of content coming. Obviously, we've got the interview which I'm filming on Thursday. I'm not going to hold on to that for ages. Like, I'm going to try and get it edited and out and clips and stuff like that out sooner than later. So there's all sorts. Yeah. So Darko Gyabi. Matthew Apter. Yes, we've got a video on Isaac Davis. We've got a video on Kean Ashford as well. So all sorts of stuff coming. I saw a few people have made suggestions for additional episodes of the Rebuild or Rebuilding Cardiff City. Very happy to have a look at some of those. There was a couple which I found quite interesting. Not saying I'll do all of the ideas, but I will have a look at them and I'll look at it because I would like to keep extending the series. I think it's an interesting concept and looking at how the club could improve and evolve with the times. So I'm definitely open to suggestions on that. So if you've got any, drop them in the live chat now. Like, people seem to really like the Academy version and people seem to like the series generally as well. It's the most, all 8 episodes are the most downloaded episodes out of everything in terms of audio downloads that we've done since we've gone over to Talk Sport. So that's cool. Because obviously it does involve a lot of research and stuff like that. Jamie says, how much of the City players' mindset came into it last season regarding the mental capacity to fight relegation rather than just easily be labelled as bad attitude? Young team in a scary environment. I see, mate. I do accept what you're saying. And I think some of those players may have froze a bit under the pressure. But I also think you're giving them a bit of an easy out by, like, just saying it's the pressure. And look, it's not my style to name the players, but there was a couple of players who were out on the piss in town towards the end of the season with like 4 or 5 games to go. And there was 2 of them out and they were talking to fans and like they were openly slagging off the manager and stuff. And to me, that's like unforgivable. And it just shows a real poor mentality, professionalism, togetherness. Like, you're fighting relegation and you're out there slagging the people off that you're supposed to be fighting with and for. So That's like embarrassing for me. You dickhead. Right, you'll have to let me know if anything's gone off because my kamikaze cat just jumped across and stood all over the roadcaster. So I don't know if he pulled any wires out or anything. So do let me know. I'll skip down to the bottom of the chat now to see if anything. Let me just skip down and see if there's anything there before, and then I'll go back up. Right, I think we're good. Right, let's go back to where we were in the comments. Jeff says Robinson did the same, thought he was causing trouble, but last season he did change. Certainly, start of the season he did well. Yeah, John says there, Bullet move. I think I alluded to this earlier. He moved Wintle forward to try and fit him in the same team as Siopis. Yeah, like I do think for certain games you can play Wintle alongside a holding midfielder and it'll be fine. But he's never a 10, is he? Like, come on. And Bullet played him there a few times, and he played that flat 4-3-3 with like 3 holding midfielders, and painful to watch. Jamie says, surely if your books are a mess, you're not signing anyone in June. Well, yeah, there's that. Like, regardless of whether they're in a mess, there's not a lot of benefit to signing anyone in June in terms of the financial fair play. Like, what's it? Last day today, isn't it? So it makes sense. I just think there's a long time to go before the season starts. Like, just need to relax a little bit. CCFC Insider says the club have asked for more for Simic than they paid last summer. That's a good indication on how things will go this summer. Getting the best deal for us. I hope so, mate. That's good. Bob Bank says I would sell Howworth yesterday. It's the never-ending conversation, and it made some people like Howworth, some people like Alnwick, some people don't like either. It's just never-ending. Like, I think Howworth will go anyway. And Alnwick, I think, will stay unless we get like a big bid for him. Dan Lowe says, always like Wintle. He's calm on the ball. We've seen he can take a decent set piece too. Good energy. Mark says, take 2 million for NG. Dan says 3 million for NG. Jesus. So, like, what I would say is, right, if the manager is happy to keep him or wants to keep him, then yeah, 2-3 million, I guess. But there's no way you can justify that sort of price tag for the form that he's had in the last 18 months. In my opinion, like, there's just no justification for it whatsoever. Like, he hasn't got, like, it's not like he's like young as well. So, Halftime Oranges says, who else can genuinely match Salic's threat on the goal front? I worry if he gets injured or overplayed, who can pick up those reins. I would play, but again, I suppose it's the fitness thing. I think Isaac Davis can do it. Callum Robinson can do it in streaks. I think we've probably got to bring in another 9. It's just who you got to find. You either got to go super experienced, where they can't play 3 games a week, so they're kind of happy to come off the bench and then maybe play once every 3 games to give Salic a break, or you go super young, or you go with Isaac and Callum and Robinson as your sort of backup strikers. We did all right with Callum as a number 9 last year when he was running the channels and running in behind. It was when he dropped deep that we had more issues. John says we were lucky to get travel expenses for Howworth. Jeff says if you Wintle's back in favour, you keep NG, their buddies. Apparently not so much now. Not that they've fallen out, by the way. Sorry, I shouldn't have worded that like that. But apparently not as close as once, or certainly in training and around the place was the word I got. But that doesn't mean they've fallen out, by the way. They're just been away, haven't they? And they got, friendships evolve, blah, blah, blah. Ian says Wintle seems to be at his when we're all out attack chasing a goal. He can put a better cross in than the wingers, and I'm not joking. He's one of the reasons Cabba was flying. few people bad-mouthing Howworth. Jamie says, is it true that Howworth was on 2 million last season? I will tell you now if you give me enough time to go into my WhatsApp and find the message. I will tell you. Right, just what I'm trying to search in my WhatsApp. I shall tell you. But, right, let's go because I'm a bit behind on these messages. Bob Banks says, keep Lawler, even if he doesn't sign a new contract, could be the difference between getting promoted or not. 100%, I agree. And you know why else I would keep him? Because if he plays 30 games like I think we expect him to, that could change his mind as well. So I would keep him. There's no point in selling him for 700 grand. I would rather risk it, play him. If he excels, then you keep trying to negotiate with him and you keep trying to get him to sign that big long deal. Hopefully he does. And like he's a Welsh boy, he's a Cardiff fan. So if he's playing and we're doing all right, like you'd hope that he'll sign that contract. And then if he goes next year, he goes next year. But hopefully not, like, you know. Kyle Branner says, I only want players who want to be here. AR could be pushing for a move. If so, sell. Remember, he was a key player for our worst season, even though I think he's a good player. Yeah, I kind of agree, mate. Like, if he wants to go, I wouldn't be begging him to stay, like, but I also wouldn't sell him on the cheap. But equally, since the end of the season, I haven't heard anything from the people that I trust that he wants out. In fact, when Barry Murphy was appointed about a few days later, I had some chat with someone really close to him, and they kind of indicated that he was much more comfortable and happy staying at the club. He really, really likes Cardiff as well. So I'd be surprised if he was actively pushing to get away. Like, yeah, all the contracts finished tonight, didn't they? Would you take right? So there you are. I'm feeling these polls tonight. So earlier on, I put a poll in the chat. So we'll go back to that. Oh my God, it's nearly 9 o'clock already. That's flown by. Right, if you've got any questions, ask them now, and I'll jump to the end of the chat and quickly answer them before I wrap up, because the boys are jumping on a member show now at 9. So yeah, I don't want to overlap that. So the poll was for tonight was, would you keep Ryan Wintle in the squad this year? 66% of people said yes. 34% said no. So pretty substantial amount of people saying that they would keep Ryan Wintle in the squad. Fair enough. I think it's decent. Let's have a look. Right, here's last question for me. With Mansverk being released by Ajax, would you try and sign him this summer? Interesting. What did Matthew say there? He said, can we afford to offer players something to keep them with us till Christmas? The likes of Salich, Robertson, etc. If we're going well and looking good, why would they want to go? Also, if we aren't doing well, then we can give them the option to look for a move in January. But do we gamble on maybe not getting the correct money for them then? Well, if we don't need to sell, which is they're briefing the media, then CCFC Insider just saying there that he thinks Mansverk has been transfer listed, not released. We'll have a look at that. But I will get Graham says Robinson dropped off after his new contract. Jeff says post-Christmas he was playing with an Achilles injury. Evening, Steve Davis Evans. Like us to buy a proven captain, says Jamie. proper Irish weather. It's pissing down. Not pissing down here. Oof, that's a question. Lewis says, Robertson, Salic, and Ruben, will they all be there for the first game? Oh, put me on the spot, mate. Yes. Yes, mate. I absolutely will. And you know what? I'll do it this week as well, because I may have mentioned it, but I'm not around Thursday, Friday this week. I'm going traveling. But just to say as well, by the way, there's still going to be my 6'2" sons in my house as well, by the way. My house isn't going to be empty. Just I'm going traveling. Like, bunch of dicks, internet weirdos. Yeah, I'll do one on Will Spears, definitely, because I'm going to do a load of videos this week. And we're literally doing 2 videos a day at the moment, which is a load of fun, but it's a lot. I don't know what that's about, James, because the chat's like I'm way behind the chat. He says, I didn't know that, so I know when they ran like they were in quicksand. I don't know what that is. Right, very quickly, I'm going to have a look. Yeah, there's a video on NG coming and where he fits under Brian Barry Murphy. I actually think he could be the experienced centre-back that we're looking for, just to give you like a kind of insight into where that's going to be. Bullet Ball was worse than Mick McCarthy, mate, by a long way. Football under Errol Bullet was as bad as I can remember, mate, honestly. Spears, NG, Manswork. Yeah, Manswork is better than League One, but this summer, I do think we can sell it as a project to people, like just as a come this year, we'll be back up next year sort of thing. Yes, Mark Meredith, shout out to Landaf North. Steve Morgan says 100% for Manswork. I think a lot more players will stay than people think. I do think a couple will go, but I think generally we'll keep more than we sell. Right. I'm going to shoot. If you remember, jump on with the boys now. Someone just said something about, I just saw the word "cho," which piqued my interest, and now I've lost the comment. Well, that's annoying. There was something about Lola and "cho." I can't find it. Let's just say, if it was me, I would have someone else doing those negotiations. He wasn't, mate. I can tell you that. I'm not going to say who it was, but I will say it wasn't him because you mentioned him. But I can't find it. Saturday, 9:27 clubs back. I'll be back for another live tomorrow. I'm going to try and get like a sporting director. Exactly that, mate. I'll answer this question. How do you think the manager can... Cities Till I Die says, how do you think this manager can be... my cat is doing my nutting. Can he be the one, or is he just a manager we sack every couple of months? I think he has all the ability and all the skill set to be the one who starts the revolution and the evolution and actually evolving the club to get into flipping 2025 begrudgingly, because this club is desperate to stay in the early 2000s. It is embarrassing at times. I think he can be the guy, but it's not just on him. We have to back him in the transfer market. We have to back him with outs. If he wants certain players out of the group, we have to back him in that way. We have to back him by standing firm with the likes of Alex Robertson, Ruben Colwell, Yusuf Salic, Dylan Lawler, by keeping them at the football club and not selling them on the cheap to the first bid that we get. That's important. And the fans have got to be patient with him. Like, the football is going to be enjoyable to watch, but I'd be very surprised if we go and win 42 games next year. Like, there's not going to be smooth sailing. Particularly the start of the season, it might be a bit up and down as the players get used to it. Like, patience. And I know that's weird in the era of social media, but I do believe that he is, in my opinion, he's the best appointment we've made for a long time. Almost on every like metric, from coaching to motivation to the way he speaks to the way he wants to play football to his use of young players, and he's a very modern coach. The only thing I think he doesn't have is like that out and out experience, but you don't always need that if you've got the skill set. I appreciate you guys. Go and join the boys members show. If you're on Patreon, I sent the link out earlier, and if you're on Cardiff City World, just go to the members tab. They probably already started. I'll be back tomorrow. Might be like a 9 o'clock though for me because I got football training with the boys. If you are 16 to 19, Lan Rumney, come join training tomorrow. Eastern Leisure Centre. We're looking for players. See you in a bit.